Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at the correlation coefficient. What the correlation coefficient is, if you have data like this, where you're comparing something to something else, for instance this one we're comparing weight to your maximum speed. You've got all this data, and then you graph the data, and it could look like this, or maybe it could look like this. And what happens is, if you put a line through this, the question is, how accurate is this line representing this data? So as you can see down here, there is no correlation. If you put a line, all of these points would not be reflected by that line. While something like this, or something like this, your line represents your data very, very well. And therefore, what you have to do is find the R value, which tells you how accurate your line is to representing your data. So if your R value is close to 1 or close to -1, it is perfect correlation. Now this one's perfect positive correlation, this is perfect negative correlation. Then we can get less perfect, but this one's still very strong, so a line going through this or through this, pretty good. And as you get further away from 1 or -1, closer to 0, it becomes less perfect. So over here, this is pretty weak if you had a line that represents this data. I guess this one's going downwards because it's negative. So the question is, how do you find the R value? Well, one way you can find the R value is by using this fancy little formula and plugging in your X values minus the mean times the Y values minus the mean of the Y values, and then multiplying them all together and then summing and then dividing it by this. But that's a lot of work, and IB typically wouldn't ask you that on a exam. So the way to find the R value would be you're using your calculator. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to our Excel and we're going to put in the data. So let's call it R, and you put some data, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we put in another, the Y value, so let's call it S. And this time I'm going to do 5, 4, 2, 1, whatever. Okay, so now you've got your data. You go to Menu, Statistics, Stat Calculation, and you go to Linear Regression Line. And we call this RNS. Okay, and your R value, it's down here. And what this says is the R value for the data that I just had is -0.9899. So it has a high or a strong negative correlation. So this line, y equals mx plus b, where m is -1.4 and b is 6.5, that line is very close to what the data is. It's a good, accurate representative of your data. Hope that helps. Have a good day.